Okay. Before getting into the second chapter, let us revise the introduction to the functions. Hope you remember the basic concepts of functions, what we have discussed the previous sessions. Functions. Okay, what is a function and why do we need them? We have come across many functions in the previous topic, but the view on their merits that we have are limited. We have only invoked the functions by using them as a tool to make the program easier and to simplify the time consuming and tedious jobs. When we want some data to be printed on the console, we use print functions. And when we want to read the value of a variable, we use the input functions. Right? So we use input, which is coupled with either its corresponding data type, either int or float. So we have also made use of some methods which are in fact functions but declared in a very specific way and standard way. And it often happens that a particular piece of code is repeated many times in the program. It repeats either literally or with a few minor modifications, which may consist of the use of other variables in the same algorithm or an application. And it also happens that a programmer cannot stop simplifying the work and begins to copy or to clone such pieces of code using the clipboard and copy paste operations. So we defined three conditions. Number one, which will help us to decide when to start writing our own functions. So if a particular fragment of the code begins to appear in more than one place, we consider the possibility of isolating it in the form of a function invoked from the points where the original code was placed before. And it may happen that algorithm which we are going to implement sometimes may be a large one or complex, and our code begins to grow in an uncontrolled manner, and suddenly we notice that we are unable to navigate it easily anymore. So a good and attentive developer divides the code, or more accurately we can say the problem or an application, into well isolated pieces and encodes each of the application in the form of a function. This considerably simplifies the work of the program because each piece of code can be encoded separately, right? Not only encoded but also developed, tested and debugged separately. The process described is often called as decomposition, right? So application of functions involve the decomposition where a large and complex program and application is separated into well isolated pieces. And the same function which is found to be repeated or used if a particular fragment of the code begins to appear in more than one place, then they are isolated separately in the form of function and invoked from the points where the original code was placed before. And the second condition is if a piece of code becomes so large that reading and understanding may cause a problem, and that could be considered dividing into separate partitions, smaller problems, and they are implemented each of them in the form of separate functions. How long it will continue? You may ask a question. Decomposition, dividing the code, how long it will continue? Because an application never stops. Year after year, based on the demand and the market, it will grow. You have seen, right? Windows operating system starts with a 3.11 version, later 7, 8, 9. Windows we had 2000, we have Professional Edition, we have Millennium, and now we are in Windows at 10th generation. So every application tends to grow based on the demand, based on the need and the market value. And it often happens that a problem is so large and complex, cannot be assigned to a single developer. And a team of developers have to work on it. So as a result, the problem must be split between the several developers in a way that ensuring their efficient and seamless cooperation. This leads to the third condition. If you are going to divide the work among multiple programmers, decompose the problem to allow the product to be implemented as a set of separately written functions packed together in different modules. So the concept of modules are introduced. Module 1, Module 2, Module 3. After they are developed, implemented independently, the results are combined together, collaborated together, integrated together to get the final application. This is the concept of a function. And we need the functions to implement, to support the real-time applications. Right? And where do the function come from? In general, functions come from at least three places. Number one, with the help of built-in functions, input, print, etc., which is an integral part of Python. Integral part of Python. Functions are integrated into the application with the help of built-in functions, add-on functions. The new functions are added into the application by the pre-installed modules. The third way is directly from the code. The user, the developer, programmer write their own functions, user-defined functions, place them inside the code and use them freely when it is required. So we can write our own functions and make it inside our code and use them freely. Okay. So a simple example, without the function, by using the standard input statement. So print function, input function. As we have noticed, the same set of statements are repeated. So instead, they can be simplified with the help of definition functions. So a function definition always starts with the keyword def followed by the function name. So next, after the def keyword goes the name of the function. And as I said, the rules for naming the function are exactly the same as for naming variables. Function name are similar to variables, except followed by a pair of parentheses. So after the function name, there is a place for a pair of parentheses. Initially, it may contain nothing, but we can supply values in the form of parameters and arguments. And the function definition, this line has to be ended with a colon. The line directly after the def begins the function body. It may have at least one or a couple of necessarily nested instructions, which will be executed every time when the function is invoked. So to invoke a function, it must be defined first. Okay. So a couple of statements, nested instructions, which will be executed every time the function is invoked. When a function at the later part of the definition will be invoked and it will pass on to the function body. So a function is extremely simple but fully usable. Fine. As a simple example we had discussed, hope you remember, right? The same example we have discussed in the previous sessions. Right. So let me again explain with the same example. DEF MESSAGE. This is the name of the function followed by a pair of parentheses, colon, then print input values, right? The function is invoked after the definition. Okay, function is invoked after the definition, right? So here a is equal to int input, right? So at the stage we have defined a function. The name of the function is message, followed by a pair of parentheses colon, and later when a message the function is invoked, the control passed on to the definition, the function body is executed. So when we run the function, we get the values, input values, for example 100, which will be displayed. Okay, so we had accepted only the input, input 100, but the output has not been displayed. When a function is invoked, this part, this statement invokes the function, input the value, input the values, print. Please note, input the values, and the input function is invoked, and the value is assigned to the variable. So we have entered the input 100, but we didn't get the output. The result is not displayed. So the output statement by default will be the print input values, right? Okay. So the variable assigned here is a. Now we get the output. So input 100, the values entered are 100. So this is the output statement. Which receives the input inside the function body and displays it. Fine. Is it clear? Okay. So this is the basic function. Now we are going to discuss the next chapter, that is parameter and arguments. What is parameter and how it differs from arguments? The function's full power reveals itself when it can be equipped with an interface that is able to accept data provided by the invoker. Please note. So in the previous example, we had supplied the function has no values. The function has no values. So it is empty. The function message does not have any values, data supported. It is through the invocation the values are provided. So a function's full power reveals itself. When it can equipped with an interface that is able to accept data provided by the invoker. Such data can modify the function behavior, making it more flexible and adaptable to changing conditions. Now we are going to modify the function definition, that is called parameterized function. So what we had seen was empty function. Now the function is going to extend, because a function's full power reveals itself when it equipped with an interface through accepting the data by the invoker. How can we make it? This is done with the help of extending the function. We know we had seen a function starts with the keyword def, a function name, nothing but a variable, and followed by a pair of parentheses. Okay, so a function's full power is understood, okay, is committed with having data provided by the invoker. This is called parameter. Fine. Now what is a parameter? A parameter is actually a variable. Please note, a parameter is actually a variable, but it differs from variable. So the variables which appears inside the function name are called parameters. Right? So a parameter is actually a variable, but there are two important factors that make parameters different and special. Number one, the parameters exist only inside the function. Is it clear? So the variables appear inside the function, inside the parentheses are called parameters. So they exist only inside the functions in which they have been defined, and the only place where the parameters can be defined is the space between a pair of parentheses in the DEF statement. The variables which are defined inside the function enclosed in between a pair of parentheses followed by a function name are called parameters. Okay. Now, these parameters take the value. We can assign the value to the parameter at the time of function's invocation by specifying the corresponding argument. So this parameter is connected with another variable called arguments. The parameter is connected with another variable called arguments. So the parameters live inside the function enclosed in between a pair of parentheses. And this parameter are provided with the data with the help of arguments. Now what is an argument? Arguments are one which exists outside the functions and are carriers of values passed to the corresponding parameters. As the parameter are variables defined inside the function, and these variables are provided with the data with the help of arguments. Arguments live outside the functions. So in general, parameters and arguments are both variables. Depends upon the existing position. They are called either parameters or arguments. Fine. So parameters exist inside the function. And these parameters are supplied, the parameters are supplied values with the help of arguments which exist outside the functions. Kindly note the difference between parameters and arguments. So at the outset, both are variables in general. But when the variables are used inside the function definition, they are called parameter. They remain as variables or parameters, and these parameters are processed by accepting the data. Who provide the data? It is arguments. The arguments exist outside the function and are the carriers of values passed to its corresponding parameter. So identically, both are same. The only difference is parameters live inside the function, arguments lie outside the function, after the function body, right? It is arguments provide data to the parameters. So parameters accept the data when the function is invoked, right? And the arguments take the input supplied to its parameter. So there is a clear and unambiguous frontier between the two words, parameters and arguments. Is it clear? Any doubts? Any doubts? Do you have any queries on the parameters and arguments? Okay. So the first important point is the functions full power reveals when it is equipped with an interface that is able to accept data, right? So if a function is simply blank, there is no use because functions are most powerful program components. If it is empty, then we are unusing it. So the function's full power is revealed when it's equipped with an interface, which means providing data. So the data is provided with the help of two concepts, two things, parameters and arguments. Parameters are nothing but simply variables. They exist inside the function. Fine. So DEF function parameters colon the function body followed by the function invocation invoked. In here the function invocation we have the variables. These variables are called arguments. So when the function is invoked, we supply data. The data are assigned to the arguments, and these arguments which exist outside the functions are the carriers. They carry the value and supply to the parameter. So parameter and arguments are connected with each other. Without parameter, arguments does not have arguments, they don't have any value. And without arguments, parameter remains like a simple variable. Fine. So let us check with an example, then you will be understanding it. I'll select a new file called function example 6. Right. So DEF, every function definition starts with the keyword DEF message. I define one parameter, right? So followed by the function body, right? Print input values. The function body contains at least one statement. Fine. Next, we invoke the function. Is it clear? We invoke the function. So the function invocation contain an argument. Argument are the values, data, which carries to the parameter. Which carries the parameter. Is it clear? So 100. Fine. Right. So we have one parameter and one argument. The argument contains a variable. So 100 is a variable, integer data. Right? Let us run the program and check how it works. So the output remains 100 is defined message number 1. So the message function invokes the statement message 100. So this 100 is supplied to the parameter NO1, and the statement in the body is executed, input values. Fine. So it is accepted, but we didn't get the output. So what we have to do? We have to type the print output statement. Print NO1. Print NO1. Fine. Now there is an error. It shows an error. Unresolved reference. Unresolved reference. How we can resolve it? Yes, any suggestions? See, we had defined a parameter and an argument 100 is supplied to the parameter. The print statement displays the input values, but the output has not displayed. Output has not displayed. How can we make it? It shows an error. Yes. Any suggestions? Put the print statement within the function. Okay, fine. Put the print statement inside the function, correct? Yes. So the print function, we had supplied the data, right? The argument 100 has been supplied assigned to number NO1. So instead of having a separate statement, we can check NO1. Input values NO1. So this variable where accepted data 100 in the form of function invocation will display the output. Input values 100. So parameters live inside the function, whereas argument, it is called argument, exist outside the functions, and they are the carriers of values passed on to the corresponding parameter. So 100 is assigned to the parameter NO1, and this function body displays the value of the parameter. Please note, parameter exists inside the function and arguments lives outside the function. Fine. So we can have any number of parameters and arguments, NO2, NO3. Okay. So if that is the case, as I said, parameters and arguments go with hand to hand each other. So when we have three parameters, we must ensure that there are three arguments. There must be the arguments. So the number of parameters and number of arguments must match with each other. Right? So we have three parameters defined inside the function and three arguments as the value. Run the program. Input values are 100. Why it is 100? We have defined three arguments, three parameters, and we had supplied three arguments. But the output what we received is only 100. Why? Why? Because the output statement has only one variable, right? So when we include the other variables, I mean the parameters, we will get the output. So NO1, NO2, NO3, number 1, number 2, and number 3. So it is all must be done. All must be done. It is number 3. Yes. To be done synchronized. So the number of parameters, the number of arguments, the variables inside the print function output statement must be synchronized properly. So a value of the parameter will arrive from the function's environment. Please remember, specifying one or more parameters in a function definition is also valid. But we must provide as many arguments as they are defined as parameters. Have you noted? We must provide as many arguments as they are defined parameters, and also the print, the output statement. So the number of parameters, number of arguments, and the output variables must be synchronized properly. In case if we miss any one of the argument, if there is a mismatch between the parameters and arguments, then we get an error. Type error message. What is message? It is an invoked function missing one required positional argument, that is NO3. So we have a parameter NO3, but we are not supplying data. We are not providing input to the variable. So hence, the invoked function is message missing one required positional argument. arguments. So 1, 2, and 3. The third argument is missing. The third argument is missing. So we get an error. If there is a mismatch between either parameters or arguments, if they are not matching, then we get an error, type error. This is called type error. So we must provide as many as arguments as they are defined parameters. Any doubts? So a function's full power reveals itself when it's equipped with an interface that is able to accept data provided by the invoker in the form of parameters and arguments. So parameter is actually a variable, but there are two different factors that makes parameters different and special. Number one, they exist inside the function. Assigning a value to the parameter is done at the time of function invocation. So in the form of arguments. So the variables exist outside the function. I mean the invoked function are called arguments. And these arguments are the one they carry values passed to the corresponding parameters. Any doubts? Any clarifications or queries? Okay. So let me check with another simple example. Open a new file. Name is 7. Yes. Okay. DEF message. The parameter is number, right? Printer. Input value number. Okay. Message. Okay. Now what will be the output? What is the output of this application? Can you guess the output of this application? Oh, it is 100. Good. So the input value is 100. Fine. Let me modify the statement. Number is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Now, guess the output. Do we get output or no output or error or same 100? Same. Okay, let us run and check. Run the program. The output has not changed. So the input value remains the same, even though NO is assigned with 1, 2, 3, 4 value. Fine. Now, yes. Any guess? Any guess? Can you guess the output of this snippet? What will be the output? A situation like this activates a mechanism is called shadowing. Okay, let me run the program and explain. Yes, the input value 100 and print number is 1234. How it happens? We have defined the message. The name of the function is message, and there is one parameter. When this message is defined at the time of execution, it invokes the message. Okay, the invoked function has 100 as an argument, which is applied to the parameter no. And then function body print the input value no. No has 100 as the data, and print the input value is 100, the first statement. Okay, so the function is over, the execution got over. The next statement after the function is no1234. Okay, and we have another statement, print no. So this statement will take the latest value till this statement. Till the statement no is supplied with 100, right? So after the execution, the control jumps out of the function, and after the the function body, the first statement after the function body is no is 1234. It is overwritten. Okay, so the next statement print no will accept the latest value 1234. So a situation like this activating a mechanism is called shadowing. So the parameter no shadows any variable of the same name no. So first no has been assigned with 100, and later it is overwritten with 1234. Okay, this is one mechanism. So we can change the value of the parameter. The same parameter can have different values. Initially, no, the parameter no has 100, and later it is overwritten, modified to 1234. So this is one kind of a function having support. So one wants to change, update the value at the time of execution, then it can be done appropriately. Fine. So this is a concept called parameterized function. So a function's full power is accessed with the help of two special variables, parameter and arguments. Fine. We shall have another two concept called positional parameter passing, a technique which assigns the first, second, and so on function called positional parameter passing. So when we have a positional parameter passing, then its complement is called argument passing. So if the argument is dictated by its name, not by its position, then it is called keyword argument passing. Right? So we check this function with the exercises in the next session. Fine. Any doubts if you have?